I used to believe in perfect love stories, the kind where two people meet, fall madly in love, and live happily ever after. David and I seem to have that kind of story. We met at my best friend's wedding 4 years ago. I was the maid of honor, he was the charming friend of the groom who kept making me laugh during the reception. By the end of the night, I knew he was special. Our relationship moved quickly. After 6 months of dating, we moved in together. At the 1-year mark, he proposed during a weekend trip to the coast. It was everything I'd dreamed of. The sunset, the ring, the promises of forever. I said yes through tears of joy, already imagining our life together. The wedding, the house, the children, our future stretched before us, perfect and certain. That was 2 years ago. 2 years of, let's wait until things calm down at work. 2 years of, maybe next spring would be better. 2 years of, we should save more money first. 2 years of watching my friends plan their weddings while mine remained a distant someday. Don't get me wrong, everything else about our relationship was wonderful. David was attentive, loving, supportive in all the ways that mattered. He just seemed to have this block when it came to actually setting a wedding date. I tried not to pressure him. I told myself it didn't matter, that we were committed to each other regardless of a piece of paper or a ceremony. But it did matter. It mattered to me. I just don't understand why we can't even set a date, I said one night over dinner. It doesn't have to be next month, it could be next year. I just want something concrete. David sighed, setting down his fork. Sophie, we've talked about this. Things are crazy at the office right now with the merger. Let's just wait until things calm down a bit. The same line, always the same line. Things have been crazy at the office for the past 2 years, I said, trying to keep the frustration out of my voice. I'm starting to think you don't actually want to marry me. He reached across the table, taking my hand in his. Of course I want to marry you. You're the love of my life. I just want our wedding day to be perfect, and right now, I can't give it the attention it deserves. His eyes were earnest, his smile reassuring, and like always, I believed him. I squeezed his hand and nodded, pushing down the disappointment that had become all too familiar. Okay, I said, but maybe we could start looking at venues? Just to get ideas? Absolutely, he agreed, relief evident in his voice. In a few weeks when this project wraps up. A few weeks? It was always a few weeks. But I loved him, so I waited. The day everything changed started like any other Tuesday. David left early for a meeting. I had the day off and planned to catch up on some household chores before meeting a friend for lunch. I was searching for stamps to mail my mom's birthday card when I opened the drawer in David's desk. That's when I saw them, a stack of cream-colored envelopes tied with a silk ribbon. Wedding invitations? My heart skipped a beat. Had David been planning a surprise? Maybe that's why he kept stalling, wanting to surprise me with everything already arranged. My fingers trembled slightly as I slid one envelope from the stack and opened it. The elegant script inside made my blood run cold. Together with their families. Jennifer Marie Collins. And David Michael Anderson. Request the honor of your presence. As they unite in marriage. The date was 3 weeks away. Jennifer. His ex-girlfriend before me, the one he said he'd remain friends with, the one he occasionally met for lunch because they ran in the same professional circles. I read the invitation 3 times, convinced I'd somehow misunderstood, but there it was in black and white. David, Jennifer, a wedding in 3 weeks. My legs gave out and I sank to the floor, the invitation still clutched in my hand. This couldn't be happening. It made no sense. David and I lived together. We slept in the same bed every night. He told me he loved me every morning before he left for work and every night before we went to sleep. And all this time, he'd been planning a wedding with someone else? I don't know how long I sat there, but eventually my shock gave way to a cold, clear anger. I took pictures of the invitation with my phone. Then I went through the rest of his desk. In another drawer, I found more evidence. Photos of them together, recent ones. Emails about honeymoon plans, a receipt for a wedding band with her name engraved inside. The life I thought I had shattered around me. Every memory, every moment with David was suddenly tainted, transformed from precious to poisonous in an instant. I called my best friend Rachel. He's marrying Jennifer, I said the moment she answered, my voice surprisingly steady. What? Sophie, slow down. What are you talking about? David. He's marrying his ex in 3 weeks. I found the invitations. Silence. Then, I'm coming over. Don't do anything until I get there. While I waited for Rachel, I packed a bag. Clothes, toiletries, important documents. I moved mechanically, my mind strangely blank. The shock, I suppose. There would be time for crying later. Right now, I needed to get out. Rachel arrived 20 minutes later, out of breath and wild-eyed. "Show me," she demanded. I handed her the invitation. Her face paled as she read it, then flushed with anger. "That lying, cheating?" She looked up at me. "How is this possible?" "You live together." "Apparently he's been living 2 separate lives," I said, and I was too trusting to see it. Rachel pulled me into a fierce hug. "This is not your fault, do you hear me? This is not your fault." I nodded against her shoulder, but I didn't believe it. How could I not have known? How could I have been so blind? "What do you want to do?" she asked, releasing me. "I need to confront him," I said. "I need to hear him say it." "Are you sure you could just leave, ghost him completely?" I considered it. Part of me wanted to disappear, to spare myself the pain of facing him, but I knew I would never have closure that way. "I need to do this," I said. "But I'm not doing it alone." We decided I would stay at Rachel's place. I would text David that evening, ask him to meet me at a public coffee shop the next day. Rachel would be at a nearby table, close enough to intervene if needed. That night, as I lay on Rachel's couch staring at the ceiling, my phone lit up with a text from David. "Hey babe, running late tonight. Don't wait up. Love you." The casual cruelty of it made me physically ill. How many times had he sent similar messages? How many late nights at the office had actually been spent with her? I typed back a simple reply. "We need to talk. Meet me at Riverside Coffee tomorrow at noon." His response was almost immediate. "Everything okay?" I didn't answer. But sleep was impossible. My mind kept cycling through every moment of our relationship, searching for signs I had missed. The unexplained absences, the weekends away for work conferences, the mysterious phone calls he'd taken another room. It all made horrifying sense now. But there were also the good times. The vacations we'd taken together, the holidays with my family, the night he held me for hours when I lost my job, telling me everything would be okay. Had all of that been a lie too? The next morning, I dressed carefully. A simple blue dress that David had always said brought out my eyes. Hair down, minimal makeup. I wanted to look like myself when I confronted him. Not broken, not defeated, just me. Rachel and I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. She took a table in the corner while I sat near the window. I ordered a black coffee I knew I wouldn't drink and waited. At 12:05, David walked in. He looked worried but not panicked, not like a man whose double life was about to explode. He spotted me and smiled, that same warm smile that had made me fall in love with him. It took everything I had not to scream. "Hey," he said, sliding into the seat across from me. "What's going on? Your text had me concerned." I didn't speak right away. I just looked at him, really looked at him, trying to reconcile the man I thought I knew with the monster he actually was. "Sophie?" His brow furrowed. "You're scaring me." I reached into my purse and pulled out the wedding invitation, placing it carefully on the table between us. "I found this yesterday," I said, amazed at how calm I sounded. "While looking for stamps." The color drained from his face. He stared at the invitation, then at me, his mouth opening and closing without sound. "I can explain," he finally managed. I almost laughed. Can you? Can you really explain why you're marrying another woman in 3 weeks when you supposedly love me, when we live together, when you've spent 2 years telling me you weren't ready for a wedding date?" "It's complicated," he said, running a hand through his hair. "Jennifer and I, we have history. Our families have expectations." "Expectations?" My voice finally cracked. "What about my expectations? What about the life you promised me?" "I never meant to hurt you," he said, and I could see the tears in his eyes. "I love you, Sophie." "I do." "Don't," I held up a hand. "Don't you dare say you love me." "But I do this thing with Jennifer. It's not about love. It's about obligations, family connections. Her father's company is merging with mine. The marriage was part of the deal." I stared at him in disbelief. "A business arrangement?" That's your explanation? You were going to marry her for a business deal while what, keeping me on the side? He had the decency to look ashamed. I was going to tell you. After the wedding. I thought we could keep seeing each other. Nothing would have to change. Nothing would have to change? I repeated, incredulous. You'd be married to another woman. On paper only, he insisted, leaning forward. It wouldn't be a real marriage, just a legal formality. My heart belongs to you. The delusion of this man was staggering. I shook my head, feeling a strange sense of pity beneath my rage. Let me get this straight, I said. You were planning to marry Jennifer for business reasons, but continue your relationship with me in secret? Did I get that right? He nodded, relief washing over his face. Exactly. See, you understand. It's just business. And what about Jennifer? Does she know about this arrangement? Does she know about me? His hesitation told me everything. She thinks it's real, doesn't she? She thinks you love her? It's complicated, he repeated weakly. No, David, it's not complicated, it's despicable. I stood up, my legs surprisingly steady. You're not just betraying me, you're betraying her too. Sophie, please. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. We can work this out, I'll figure something out. There's nothing to work out, I said. We're done. I've already moved my things out, I'll send someone for the rest later. His eyes widened in panic. You're leaving me? Just like that? Just like that, I echoed. You were going to marry another woman behind my back and you're surprised I'm leaving? But I love you, he said, his voice breaking. I need you. For a brief moment, I felt a flicker of doubt. The man before me looked so devastated, so sincere in his distress. But then I remembered the invitations, the honeymoon plans, the wedding band with her name. Goodbye, David, I said. As I turned to leave, he grabbed my arm. Sophie, wait. What about the apartment? What about our life together? I looked pointedly at his hand until he released me. I suggest you focus on your wedding. It's only 3 weeks away. Rachel appeared at my side, glaring at David with such hatred that he physically recoiled. You should be ashamed of yourself, she spat. David looked between us, realization dawning. You told her. Who else have you told? The fact that his primary concern was who knew about his deception rather than the pain he'd caused me was the final confirmation I needed. This man had never truly loved me. Don't worry, I said coldly. I haven't told Jennifer. That's your job. If you have any decency left, you'll tell her the truth before you marry her. She deserves to know what kind of man she's marrying. With that, Rachel and I walked out of the coffee shop. I didn't look back. The next few weeks were a blur. I found a new apartment, buried myself in work, and tried to piece my life back together. Rachel stayed with me those first few nights, holding me while I cried until I had no tears left. I thought about contacting Jennifer, warning her about the man she was about to marry, but ultimately I decided against it. Not to protect David, but because I didn't want to be part of their story anymore. I needed a clean break. 3 days before the wedding date on the invitation, my phone rang with David's number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. Hello? Sophie. His voice was ragged, like he'd been crying. The wedding's off! I said nothing, waiting. I told Jennifer everything, he continued, about us, about the real reason for the marriage. She called off the wedding. I'm sorry for her, I said, and I meant it. Jennifer was as much a victim in this as I was. I'm sorry too, he said, sorrier than you can imagine. I lost everything. The merger fell through, my family isn't speaking to me, and I lost you. You didn't lose me, David. You threw me away. I know, he whispered. I know that now. Is there any chance at all that we could try again? I love you, Sophie. Only you. I see that now. There was a time when those words would have melted my resolve, when I would have rushed back into his arms, grateful for another chance. But that time had passed. No, I said simply, there's no chance. Can we at least talk about it? Please, I'm begging you. We already talked, at the coffee shop. Remember what you said? That marrying Jennifer while continuing to see me was just business? That nothing would have to change? He was silent. That's who you are, David, a man who could say those words and believe them. That's not someone I want in my life. People can change, he argued weakly. Yes, they can. I have. I'm not the woman who would accept crumbs of affection anymore. I deserve better than what you offered. Sophie. Goodbye, David. Don't call me again. I hung up and blocked his number. 6 months later, I was having dinner with a girlfriend when she mentioned she'd heard through mutual friends that David and Jennifer had gotten back together. Apparently, they patched things up, she said. The wedding's back on. I felt a momentary pang, not of jealousy or regret, but of concern for Jennifer. Had David told her the whole truth? Did she know what she was getting into? Are you okay? My friend asked, watching my reaction carefully. I considered the question. Was I okay? 6 months ago, the news would have devastated me. Now, I felt nothing. No pain, no anger, no longing for what might have been. Yes, I said, smiling, I really am. Later that night, I received an email from an unfamiliar address. The subject line read simply, "Thank you." It was from Jennifer. Sophie. We've never met, but I feel like I know you. After I called off the wedding, David told me everything about your relationship, about his plans to continue seeing you after we were married, about the business motivations behind our engagement. I wanted to thank you for not contacting me directly. It would have been easy for you to lash out, to turn this into drama between two women fighting over the same man. Instead, you gave David the chance to be honest with me himself. He wasn't, at first, but your confrontation shook him enough that when I pressed, the truth came out. You might have heard that David and I are together again. That's partly true. We're working through things in therapy, both individually and as a couple. I don't know if we'll make it, but I'm approaching this with eyes wide open now. I won't ask for your blessing. That would be presumptuous and unfair, but I wanted you to know that I admire your strength, the way you walked away with your dignity intact. I hope to show the same strength, whatever the outcome, with David. Wishing you all the best. Jennifer. I sat for a long time after reading her email, trying to decide whether to respond. Finally, I wrote back. Jennifer. Thank you for your email. I appreciate your honesty and your kind words. I don't harbor any ill will toward you. We were both deceived by the same man in different ways. I can't tell you whether giving David another chance is right or wrong. Only you can decide that. But I'm glad you're approaching it with awareness and care for yourself. Whatever happens, I hope you find happiness, whether with David or without him. Take care. Sophie. I sent the email and closed my laptop, feeling a sense of closure I hadn't expected. David had tried to make us rivals, pawns in his game of deception. Instead, we had found a kind of solidarity in our shared experience. A year after discovering those wedding invitations, I still think about David sometimes. Not with longing or regret, but with a strange kind of gratitude. His betrayal forced me to face some uncomfortable truths about myself, about how I had compromised my own needs and wants to accommodate someone who didn't deserve it, about how I had settled for promises instead of actions. I'm dating again now, taking it slow, being careful with my heart, but also being honest about what I want. No more waiting for someone to decide I'm worth committing to. No more accepting excuses and delays. The other day I was having coffee with a man I'd been seeing for a few months. We were talking about the future, about where we saw our relationship going. I want to be clear, I told him. I'm looking for something real, something with a future. If that's not what you want, that's fine. But I need to know now. He smiled, taking my hand across the table. I want that too, and I appreciate your directness. It's refreshing. Later, as we walked through the park, he asked about my previous relationships. I told him about David, about the wedding invitations, about the double life. That's awful, he said, genuinely appalled. I'm so sorry you went through that. Don't be, I replied. It taught me something important. What's that? That I'd rather be alone than be with someone who makes me question my worth, that I deserve a love that doesn't come with conditions or delays or excuses. He nodded thoughtfully. Everyone deserves that. Yes, I agreed, everyone does. We walked in comfortable silence for a while. Then he squeezed my hand gently. For what it's worth, he said, I think you're extraordinary, and any man who couldn't see that was a fool. I smiled up at him, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the spring sunshine. Maybe this relationship would work out, maybe it wouldn't, but I knew one thing for certain: I would never again wait for someone to decide I was worthy of commitment. I would never again settle for less than I deserved. Finding those wedding invitations had broken my heart, but in that breaking, I had found my strength. And that was worth more than any ring or promise David could have ever given me.